Hello everyone! Well, it's time again to present the new summer models from Märklin, Trix and LGB. As always, just a note that the models are mainly hand samples. Many steam locomotive fans consider this one to be the most beautiful one that has ever been on German rails.
Das war eine ganz besondere Maschine, das war die letzte deutsche.
This was a very special engine. It was the last German state railway Pacific, built in a quantity of 20 engines between 1918 and 1920 by the Munich machine factory J.A. Maffei for the Grand Ducal Baden State Railways. We want to pay our respects to today, to the 18323 locomotive that was assigned to the Offenburg depot where it had its heyday. It was taken over by the Deutsche Reichsbahngesellschaft and renumbered. There it received its legendary number 18323. And I have to say, I almost get goosebumps when I say the number. It should be no different when looking at the half-O model from Märklin and Trix. Fine wheels with low wheel flanges and many other successful details can be discovered on the vehicle, which is largely made of metal. A smoke unit is installed as standard. The prototype locomotive's condition is shown around 1966, when it was in use in Minden.
Wie kam nun überhaupt die 323 zum Versuchsamt nach Minden?
How did the 323 get to the test office in Minden? It's actually quite simple. When a test run was made with the 0310, the 1056, this locomotive, a three-cylinder engine, suffered a major engine failure because the three-cylinder engine was not designed to be suitable as a brake locomotive. The locomotive therefore had to be parked and refurbished. It was no longer assigned to the Minden depot for test services, but rather returned to scheduled service.
Geben musste oder dass man eben eine noch hatte in München Freimann abgestellt und das war 18323.
And so the 18323 came into play. An engine that, as one expert wrote at the time, was only really in its element above 110 km per hour and showed its best operating characteristics between 120 and 135 km per hour. So full steam ahead. A wonderful thought for all steam locomotive fans. This fascination can also be enjoyed in a similar way on the layout. Matching cars can be found in the summer new items. This express train is reminiscent of a unique locomotive. In front of invited guests, Märklin presented the new model in front of the large prototype, which stands as a monument locomotive in Offenburg. Everyone was impressed with it. Hard to believe I was allowed to pay my respects to this locomotive and pass it on to the insiders, who were equally fascinated by it. We later walked around the locomotive, looked at the details, compared them with the model, and, in the end, there were no questions left unanswered. We don't know whether it will be a good year, but if you like wine, you should enjoy this vintage, as it makes you think about the pleasant things in life.
Ich sage mal, so der Einstieg in ein schönes Thema.
Let me say that the German wine road is a great theme to start with. The first set that we are now offering in the summer new items is a pair of 3-axle rebuilt passenger cars and a 4-axle passenger car, beautifully designed in blue and beige and labeled with the German wine road. It's a really great story, introducing this beautiful theme.
Geschichte.
The ocean blue and ivory-colored 218 from the Märklin Classic assortment is great as a train locomotive. The cars have LED interior lighting as standard. While the Class 218 was still on the go in large numbers throughout Germany, it was viewed favorably, but it was not yet an object of desire. However, this has changed in recent years. Today, wherever a 218 appears on the prototype, its fans are not far behind, no matter what color scheme the engines have. But with the 218-341, a locomotive in a special color scheme is rolling along the tracks. And of course, Märklin and Trix have to include it in their program.
Ja, eine wahre Loklegende, Diesellok-Legende, die Baureihe 218. In den letzten Jahren
a true diesel locomotive legend, the Class 218. In recent years, many colorful locomotives have been seen on the tracks. It was mainly private railroads that came up with some great designs. But the Deutsche Bahn AG has now decided to paint a locomotive different from the standard traffic red. And because it will be used for intercity services anyway, they decided to paint it in the typical intercity colors. For example, a light grey body with red trim, which I think looks beautiful. Matching IC cars can be found in the Märklin assortment, so that a nice Era 6 express train with a cab control car can be reproduced in the model. And now it's steaming along. Yes, the Swiss could also produce steam, and how? As the C56, also known as the Elephant, impressively demonstrated. A variant of the 2969 is now being added to the program. The model impresses with its elegant blue-gray paintwork on the boiler and cylinders. This train also impresses with its color scheme.
Ja, der Giruno bekommt eine weitere Variante, eine sehr interessante Variante. Das ist ein Testzug oder ein
Yes, the Giruno is getting another very interesting variation. This was a test or trial train that was actually only in service for a very short time in 2018 between Switzerland and Italy. And this train also shows this very clearly with its design. For example, the end cars have a Swiss design on one side with the Swiss cross and an Italian design on the other side, for example with the Italian flag. We offer the whole thing in a 7-piece set. This means that the customer receives virtually everything that was used in the design of the prototype. And this set can then be extended with 2 supplementary sets, each in 2 parts, so that the customer can actually display the entire 11-part set if he so wishes.
Der Kunde, wenn das will, dann auch tatsächlich die 11-teilige gesamte Garnitur sich darstellen kann.
Goods are best transported by rail. Today the Vectron dominates the scene. And even the Deutsche Bundesbahn once had talented workhorses.
Die Baureihe 140 war dann,
The Class 140 was then, you could almost say, a Girl Friday, primarily designed for freight trains, but also used for passenger trains. Some locomotives were equipped X-Works with a worn buffer beam and multiple unit control. These were primarily located in the higher number range, and our locomotive, the 140-800, has this striking worn buffer beam. In its chic ocean blue and ivory-colored outfit, the engine reflects its operating condition from 1996 onwards. It could be seen all over Germany, hauling freight trains of all kinds.
zusammen mit der MHI.
Together with MHI, we have decided to create a suitable Zelo car sales display. The display contains 12 UCS 908 Zelo cars. 6 cars from the display are employed by Deutsche Bundesbahn, and the others belong to EVA. The 140 has the new DBS 54 pantographs that can be digitally raised and lowered. The model is also being released by Trix. The Deutsche Bundesbahn gradually discontinued the luggage service at the beginning of the 1990s and then stopped it completely in the mid-1990s. Since then, there have been no more regular trains with luggage cars. The DM903 is set in 1993 and appears in the product color scheme. The prototype is the conversion from a mail car, namely the Post MRA, which we presented at the beginning of this year. We have chosen the class 110.3 CS3 the so-called Panskries in an oriental red color scheme to go with it. It is also set during the Deutsche Bundesbahn's era in 1993 and comes with movable pantographs and engine room lighting. An elegant appearance indeed. Very nice to look at. The roof pantographs that can be raised and lowered digitally. The locomotive is also available from Trix. Euro Cargo Rail is a subsidiary of DB Cargo. The distinctive Class 77 diesel locomotives are at home here. The metal model has many impressive digital functions. These include a smoke generator fitted as standard. The prototype engines can also be found in the Nuremberg area. They look particularly good on the layout in front of long block trains. The heavy engine will also come onto the market as a Trix model and will impress with its enormous tractive power. These 4-axle Almiva funnel flow tank cars, which are offered in a set of 3, are also suitable for unit trains. To be continued. This is the Pantone Color of the Year 2024 car, painted in a warm, pleasant color called Peach Fuzz. There is also a Z or Z model, a nice collector's item. It remains colorful. We come to an ultra-modern engine working for the German freight railroad.
Die Zweikraftlokomotive Vectron Dual Mode 249001.
The Vectron Dual Mode 249001 dual power locomotive was officially handed over to DB Cargo on March 15, 2024, with a special adhesive covering reminiscent of a Ludmilla or a V90. Depending on the location, the operating sound can be switched digitally. Here the engine is on a non-electrified route to pick up 2 Eanos, loaded with scrap metal. Even the hand sample shows the successful transition between the different color schemes of some well-known diesel locomotives. The engineer has time for a quick chat, but soon it's on to the next track connection, where more cars are to be picked up. The buffer height corresponds to the NEM, and this model will also enhance the Trix half-O assortment. The model, which is largely made of metal, impresses with numerous digital functions. All 4 axles are power-driven. The Vectron Dual Mode now runs on an electrified line. Consequently, we have activated the electric locomotive operating sound on the CS3. Fans of the Vectron family will most certainly be delighted with this engine. We are now coming to a legendary series on the German rails.
Ja klar.
Of course, it's well known what was going on there in the early to mid-70s, when the last 01s steamed up the inclined plane between Neuenmark-Wilsberg and Hof for the Bundesbahn. And we have chosen a special 01 for the Märklin dealer initiative, the 00111, in the lettering of Era 4. A hand sample of the digital model in N gauge is shown here. The propulsion is located in the tender. The elegant locomotive is not particularly challenged with a local train in tow. The observer might be a little surprised that the train is so colorful. I would say that it looks nicely thrown together, but that was also the case at the time. The 01s were no longer used in front of high-quality long-distance trains, but in front of local trains. We chose a local train between Bamberg and Hof. There is a car set consisting of 2 BYG rebuilt passenger cars and an ABN-type Silberling. And the second set contains an express freight service car, the MDYG 986, as well as a PWI 23 and a GS 210. The train really did exist. Now an Era 5 commuter train with a newly developed driving trailer is rolling onto the scene. And there were no bi-level cab control cars for these bi-level cars yet. So we have recreated a train in which the Wittenberg control cars were used for the first time. That was in the greater Frankfurt area very early on, around 1994. The type is called BD481, and with the 2 bi-level cars, if you buy several, you can of course create a longer train. You can create a prototypical local or regional train. Both bi-level cars are also summer new items for 2024. Based on the unique zero-gauge crocodile produced in the 1930s, this magnificent one-gauge engine is now available in the edition Märklinium. Models of this type, albeit with a different appearance, were released by Märklin at that time.
Kurze Zeit später, als es draußen war, kam
A short time later, when it was out, a New York toy dealer said he would like to have the big engines in Gauge 0. The 01 was there, and the Crocodile, of course, and various other electric locomotives and steam locomotives, always in a special paint scheme, always as New York Central lines. The unique zero-gauge model is kept in the best possible way, albeit in a private collection. It is therefore all the more pleasing that a perfect new one-gauge version is now available. The pantographs can be raised and lowered in digital mode, and a buffer capacitor has also been included. Yes, the Crocodile has every conceivable subtlety imaginable. Basically, we wanted to make a statement with this mystery, which is so closely associated with Märklin and also with our sales and distribution activities overseas. And so we said, based on the new design of the CE683 in Gauge 1 from 2019, we would now like to recreate this locomotive in this color scheme. And I think we've really succeeded in doing that.
Und ich denke doch, das ist uns wahrlich gelungen.
This dream model is already available, exclusively in the Märklinium in Göppingen. As one of the summer new items 2024, the V3201, a diesel pneumatic pressurized locomotive of the Deutsche Reichsbahngesellschaft, continues the popular collector's series of manufactory models. The body is cast from bronze. A bell-type armature motor provides the propulsion. It was ahead of its time. The ETA 150, a battery-powered railcar that saw the light of day back in the 1950s. The last units were retired in 1995. The Z or Z model reflects the operating condition around 1978. It consists of a motor car and a control car, and is finely printed and painted. The RE 620 from SBB Cargo is a real powerhouse on the rails. These beefy engines are still in service today. The Mini Club model has a bell-type armature motor and LED lighting that reproduces the Swiss light changeover. The RHB Allegra is extremely colorful. It has both the outfit of the former Bernina line, the RHB color scheme of Era 3, and the light blue of the Arosa line. Consequently, it is generally referred to as the ancestor train. And this unique train has been running on the RHB track since the end of last year. Here, shortly before Preda, it rolls through a winter wonderland that extends to over 1700 meters above sea level. The destination of the Bernina Express is mild Tirano, where Mother Hulda was probably less industrious. Now it's down from the mountains to the sea, on an island. On the Rügener Bäderbahn we have the 53 MH series. This is popularly known as the Racing Roland, although the locomotive can actually only travel at 30 km per hour. The LGB program is adorned with a colorful array based on the Rügen Bäderbahn. These include a baggage car, a 4-axle passenger car, and the popular observation car. And there is also something to celebrate. This year, 125 years of the Brockenbahn, which we are of course honoring with a model, the 99-222. To mark the anniversary, it will also be given an imprint, which will be unique on this day. And we will reproduce this. However, we will add it as a decal, so that the customer can decide whether to put it on or leave it off. The special edition car is perfect for the anniversary, and will be back in Switzerland in no time.
We have the GE662.
We have the GE662 with a red paint scheme in our program, with the old side windows and digitally controlled single-arm pantographs. A classic, now also in the LGB assortment. Märklin fans should make save the date for a special event this year. Yes, on September 13 and 14, we will once again be holding an open house here at our main plant in Göppingen. We will be opening our doors from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visitors can walk through the basic assembly, the die casting department, die casting processing, electroplating, or, as here, through the coloring department, and then on to the turning shop and up to the locomotive assembly and experience the complete quality assurance. And what is also very important, of course, snacks will be available too. The LGB layout in the yard of the main factory will also be in operation, and visitors can see the Märklineum as well.
Zum Tag der offenen Tür haben wir ja immer einen ganz besonderen Wagen.
A very special year, and once again a department will present it. Let me remind you, we had a very beautiful electroplating car that was chrome-plated. We also had a car from the turning shop, filled with lots of small individual parts from the turning shop. And I think we have another beautiful car for this year. Just wait for it. So make sure you save the date on September 13th and 14th, 2024. And if you are looking for more information on the summer new items 2024, you can find it here.